Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Wow. Jude. I guess it's Wednesday, right? Thank you all for coming along tonight to the wonderful Lighthouse Bookshop for this launch of Twilight. Yay! Um, hello. I should also say this is being live streamed, so hello to the people joining on the live stream, as well as people IRL. My name's Helen Bolwell, and I am the editor of this anthology. It is, to my knowledge, the first poetry anthology of 5+ people, so that's very exciting. And kind of unbelievable. Like I was like, that can't be the case. And I kept googling, and it seems to be the case. So I'm just saying it now, but feel free to correct me if it turns out that I'm wrong. Um, just to say a little bit about this anthology and where it's all come from. Um, Basically, 2 years ago, I was on a very slow train to Verve Poetry Festival in Birmingham because of the storm. The train was going at like half speed, and it was like 7 in the morning, and my brain was like, "Let's create a new project." So I just read this essay anthology, essay and poetry anthology called Non-Binary, which is great. I recommend it to everyone. Which was, as you can imagine, about the non-binary experience, but it was very sort of focused on intersecting identities within that. And I was thinking, oh, this is really cool. Where is the sort of equivalent, like, especially poetry, because I'm a poet, anthology for those under the bi plus umbrella? And it seemed that there wasn't one. And I was like, I guess I could do this. So I did a tweet and I was like, would anyone be interested if I did this? And like 100 people were immediately like, yes, here are all my details. And yes, I will fill out your Google form asking for like my age and location, not like that, guys, and like how I might like to take part in this project and my bio and like everything about me. Um, so that was amazing. And then I applied for some Arts Council England funding and got it. And here we are. So last year we did some workshops for BIPOC poets, including in 4 online and one in London, Manchester, Norwich, and Glasgow. And now, then we edited, we opened for submissions, and we got, I say we, I teamed up with 14 Poems, who, if you don't know, is an amazing LGBTQ plus publisher, and they put out a magazine as well, and you should all be submitting your poems to them. So we opened for submissions, and it was the first time they'd ever done an anthology like this on a particular identity. And we got 2,800 poems, more or less, from 800 poets from 40 countries. So it was wild. And about 4 times the amount of work that I was expecting. But that was great. So we condensed it down into this anthology of 45 poets from across the UK and further afield, people in Nigeria, Trinidad, States, Canada, all over the shop. And now I'm bopping around the country launching it at lovely bookshops like this one. So I guess some like definitions and things. By plus, I mean anyone who, it's like an umbrella term, right? So there's bisexual, pansexual, like queer, questioning, ace, all of these different intersections. And the theme for the project as a whole was in betweenness. And that was because for me personally, I'm interested in that kind of in between feeling that being in this kind of identity makes me personally feel. Obviously, that's not the case for everyone. And you could argue that a better theme would have been fluidity, right? Because maybe that's a bit more of a positive spin on it than this sort of feeling of being left out of 2 different categories, or feeling like, hey, we're our own category. But I was interested in what that does and how that affects maybe your whole life, not just I wasn't just looking for poems about like I kiss girls and I kiss boys. Some of those are in there and they are necessary. But I was interested I was interested also in like For me, how that reflects like the mixed race experience and like class. And I knew that other people have really interesting things to say about disability and gender, migration status, parenthood, like all of these different kinds of ways of being that intersected with that. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say to introduce the book. Thank you for being here. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to hear from two of the contributors, Alicia Thera Purcell and then Lukowski. And we're also having a bypass open mic. So we've still got a few more spots free. So we'll have two in the first half after Alicia. And then if anyone wants to sign up for the second half, you're very welcome to just come and say hello. And then I'll send you off into your evening and we can, buy books, sign books, and think clear thoughts. You are all doing that anyway, I know, but that sounds all right. Oh, we'll also have an interval in the middle, just to say, after the opening. I think hereby endeth my introductory spiel. And I think I'm ready to introduce our very first performer. Alicia Thera Purcell is a poet from Newcastle upon Tyne. Her work has been published in Pop Shop, Butcher's Dog, and by Dear Damsels. She is a young creative associate with New Writing Laws and part of Brown Girls Write as well, which is an amazing collective. Alicia's poem in the anthology was like an immediate yes for me. It was so it's about the coast and like what a perfect in between space, right? Sometimes it's the sea, sometimes it's the land, sometimes it's both. And I also loved how she played with form, and for that reason, I'm really excited to hear how she's going to read it out, because if you read the poem in the book, you'll see that there are lots of like straight lines or like underscores with dashes and things like that. I was really interested in how people were going to play with form in response to the in-betweenness theme as well, because I think poetry is very suited to that. So this like ticked all of my boxes immediately, and I'm very excited for you to hear it. So if you please give it up for Alicia.
Can you all hear me okay? So I remember when Helen sent around the emails, it was kind of like publicizing the event. She was like, I wonder how Alicia's going to perform this. And I went, oh, I don't know how I'm going to perform this, but I have practice, so we're good. I'm really excited to be here with you all today. And so I'm gonna start by reading Coastline, and this poem has a bit of a story to it. So I wrote it, I got the idea for it when I was actually volunteering at the St Andrews Poetry Festival last year, and as part of that, I helped out with the Stanza Books. And I thought, wow, this is an amazing place. I feel really happy to be performing here. And I went down to the coast. I had a few hours. I went down to the coast, and it was a really windy day, and all the wind was blowing the sand into the sea, and that kind of image made me think of kind of poetry things like, there's a poem here, there's a poem somewhere. And I went back and started writing, and I can really relate to kind of what Helen said in terms of that in between, in terms of sexuality, but also being mixed race. And so I'm Sri Lankan and Scottish, so it feels really nice to be performing here. This is Coastline. I stand before the North Sea and think that a coastline is a line. I look for the definitive line separating the sea from the shore, water from land, wet from dry. Where is the cartoon line you see in children's books, dividing the yellow from the blue? I search for a line, or a line, or a line, telling us what is ours and theirs. But all there is negotiation between the land and the sea. Haven't you ever seen a chunk of cliff plunge into the sea, toes pointed? Or how the water takes larger chunks out of the sand, ignoring the white lines on a map saying stay. And so kind of continuing on with the theme of borders and bodies. I've been really interested in exploring kind of how intimacy and connection fits alongside kind of imposed division and borders. And we've got, as part of Brown Goes Out, we've got a really talented artist called Jana Ajamal, and she did this amazing piece of art for us. It's kind of like two bodies, and the lines of the bodies almost become like the lines of a landscape. It's got these gorgeous purples and oranges, and we all wrote response pieces to it. So this is my response piece to that. It's called Body Border, After Looking Glass by Jana Ajamal. There are no borders here, except the one I hold in my teeth. The hinge of your arm to chest is the horizon, is the mountain, is the wedge of moon. 2 syllables. Bow, full. Bow. Open lips, pop, open space, fill it with air. You and I become the sand or the other way around. The sunset drips down the canvas that is your head against mine. When you speak, purple wax falls and I write my name with it. There's no border here except the one I try to swallow. That hinge of your arm to chest is the horizon, is the mountain, is the wedge of moon. Ball, close, sounds of the R, a rolling, a chewing over. How large is it in the mouth? Tell me, what is the difference between a boundary and a border? I let you draw around me in the sand. I can't see a border from here. Only that hinge of your arm to chest is the horizon, is the mountain, is the moon. So I've recently been working on a project based on sleep and dreams. I'm really interested in sleep as that kind of in-between space and kind of landscape that exists in our dreams, kind of for us, and how you go from moving between kind of this really surreal state and then kind of into everyday life and how that sits alongside that. So I've been doing interviews with people and then writing poems based on their relationship to sleep. And kind of each poem has a different form. And this is one called Threat Simulation Theory, and it's based on the concept that in dreams, some people believe that we can act things out that we might be concerned about happening in like our everyday lives and how we can kind of overcome that. I also wanted to read it today because it's interspersed with lines from the last episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is a very quick thing to do. And I rewatched the show and made my partner watch the show in its entirety. There's lots of things I like about it and lots of things I don't like about it and how it was made. But for a lot of us, I think it was probably one of the first kind of times that we saw queer like representation on screen. So this is Threat Simulation Theory. It's an equation, she says, to convert a nightmare to a dream. So here's the part where you make a choice. To transmute fear into freedom, I need power. What if you could have that power now? Not of the mind, not of the mouth, but of the body. Power externalized, a superpower. Strength, speed, agility, I'll take it all. This woman is more powerful than all of them combined. Small brown hands become a shelter, a shield, a time machine, a sacrifice. I say my power should be our power. As she speaks, onto the white wall, I see small brown hands meet a large hand in front of a small brown face. Make your choice. The impact is felt, the microphone teeters with the memory. The small brown body stands so their face is in the light. Are you ready to be strong? As with most of my sets, I can't get away without performing a poem for my partner, and he's sitting right there, so he's not probably feeling embarrassed. So this was one. It's a sonnet, and it's about like 2 of my favorite things, which are cups of tea and my partner. It's called Domestic Bliss. We are mugs in a crowded cupboard, clinking against each other as our curves and hard edges seek new alignments. In here, there is only space for us and our two names. Every other word loosens its grip, love refracting into every nook and cranny. Each time I choose you and you me and we clink crockery, the stain of their fingerprints is sponged off, until all that's left is not worth the sleep. Alone we have been through high fire, but with each turn of the moon our glaze deepens. Together we are full to the brim. So when I originally wrote the coastline poem, which now I have to not do the line symbol every time I say it, it was kind of almost in two parts. And then when I submitted the consent, like one part, but I was like, this is like a secret second part. When I was thinking about tonight, I kind of went through and read like the rest of it and saw what I wanted to kind of do with it. Yeah, and I think I remember I once had a conversation with a friend who's a very good friend of mine, who kind of said to me, in kind of offhand way, that she didn't think of me as being bi. And it's really interesting. It made me think of reflecting on it, the concept of, you know, the phrase, if a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, does it make a sound? And I think sometimes when you're seen as being like in between or straddling identity, people apply that phrase in their minds, maybe without even thinking about it. It's the concept that, like, unless you are performing your identity in the way that the perceiver expects you to, that's what it is dependent on. So if you're not doing that, it's therefore you don't have that identity. And it's really interesting that people kind of close to you know you can think that way. So this is a poem kind of this is part of the poem in relation to that. It's called She Tells Me I'm a Coastline. If my body was to be divided, land versus sea, known versus unknown, which way would the line go? You tell me you can see it. One side waxing over the other, a timetable full not of my own. But I sleep knitted up in myself, left leg hooked over right, arms finding union beneath my head. I can fold myself like paper, fingers of my ovaries reaching to cradle my heart, stroke my brain. Any line that is on my body splinters, fraying at each follicle. If there is a line within me, I unpick it nightly, as the sea flaps itself into the land. And I wanted to close my set by reading an extract from Queering the Map. If you haven't heard of Queering the Map, I'm just reading kind of what they say on the website. It's a community-generated counter mapping platform, and you can anonymously kind of put up queer experiences in relation to physical space. And they have a little, one of the pins there talks about queer liberation being decolonization and decolonization being queer liberation. So I felt I wanted to close my set by reading one of the pins, which is in the north of Gaza. I don't know when, it doesn't say kind of when it was kind of entered, but I wanted to read this to stand as we're kind of all here in solidarity with the people of Palestine and the queer people of Palestine. Just as a content warning, there is reference to death and violence. I don't know how long I will live, so I just want this to be my memory here before I die. I'm not going to leave my home come what may. My biggest regret is not kissing this one guy. He died 2 days back. We told how much we like each other, and I was too shy to kiss last time. He died in the bombing. I think a big part of me died too, and soon I will be dead. To Eunice, I will kiss you in heaven. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alicia. That was beautiful and very moving. Yeah, thank you for doing that. Obviously, despite I know. Gosh, poetry, man. How you all doing? Yeah, good. How are you on the live stream? Can't hear you, but I hope you're good. Okay, we are going to have a couple of open micers now. The reason why these launch events, lots of these launch events, I wanted to have this open mic element is because the whole project is about really community and like strengthening the community. You know, that is just code for like outing everyone. But like part of the reason that I started this was because I was like, where are all the BIPOC poets? I could name lesbian poets and gay poets and trans poets, non-binary poets, but I couldn't name that many BIPOC poets. So now I have 45 of them. I forced them out of the cupboard. They, you know, they came willingly. But seeing each other and going to these different cities all around the UK and like hearing like, you know, local people sharing their poems has been such an important part of the project, and that's why we do the workshops, and it's just really lovely. Like, again, not everyone can be in an anthology. Like, I couldn't publish 2,800 poems, as you can imagine. So this is just a way for us to, you know, all be together in this big queer family. So we have 2 open micers signed up. Obviously, you're a very lovely crowd. I can see that already. Doing an open mic is a scary thing and a brave thing. So we're going to be very friendly and welcoming to the next 2 people. And also to those open micers, I mention again that we are being live streamed and the recording is going to go online. But if you feel that you want it to be taken down at any time, just let the Lighthouse Bookshop know. Yeah. I think that's all I need to say. Hopefully you read the little intro that I wrote here. 1 poem, please, 3 minutes max, or, you know, 3 minutes max if you've got 2 short poems. A loose theme of in-betweenness or queerness. Give content warnings where relevant, and yeah, anyone under the BIPOC umbrella, welcome. I've written here, even if you're in a monogamous relationship, because that is exactly the kind of thing that is like, oh, but I'm in a straight passing or like lesbian passing relationship and my identity is gone. But I say no to that. But I hear the sound of your tree falling. Okay, that was a long, I'm good at waffling, aren't I? But we're going to give a warm welcome to our first open micer now. They've written 2 names, so I'm going to say them both because they're sickly sick. We've got Jude Firesong, aka Fabulous Phoenix Boy.
Test 1, 2, 3. Good. Yes, the name is Jude. Pronouns are he, him. Fabulous Phoenix Boy is me on all the socials that matters if you care to follow me after hearing this. Now, you're going to hear 2 versions of this. It is very short. I think it's the best poem I have that fits the theme, but I'm not sure what it means. So if you think you can tell me, fantastic. Because this is a found poem that I collaged together from bits of like newspapers and magazines. So the original is kind of bilingual, binational, in between in many ways. The original poem is kind of in what I call Italish, and then the translation is in the other verse. And it's called La Farfalla Invisibile, and you'll find out what that means in a second. Live show, narrativo, artistico, magico, open to the public, slam star, ricerca, avventura, luoghi invisibili, a life less ordinary, emozioni e idee, cartoline affettive, immagini spirituali, intimo amore per ogni recondito angolo, rinascita, una nuova luccicanza, paradiso, un carnevale coloratissimo per tutti, terra delle infinite opportunità, tutto può succedere, potevamo scegliere che tipo di vita immaginare, cosa indossare, come sognare. And now the verse of that is The Invisible Butterfly. Spettacolo dal vivo, storytelling, artistic, magical, aperto al pubblico, star dello slam in search of adventure, invisible locations, una vita meno ordinaria, emotions and ideas, postcodes of perfection, spiritual images, intimate love for every tucked away corner, rebirth, a new shimmering paradise, an incredibly colourful carnival for everyone, land of infinite possibilities. Anything can happen. You could choose what kind of life to imagine, what to wear, how to dream. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for fabulous Phoenix boy. Thank you. Yeah, I felt like I had something to say then, but I didn't. Our second open micer is going to be the wonderful Heather Dunnett.
Hello, everyone. So reflecting on queerness and like in betweenness, started thinking back to that weird stage when you're dating but you're not dating because you like refuse to ask each other because you don't really know that it's going to be the same answer you thought it is because all your friends have spent 3 months saying you're dating. Just shut up and tell everyone. So that's what this is. How do we open our mouths to ask for more when we have wired our teeth to our jaws, glued our tongues with fear and cement? How do we speak past that to ask? Why 5 months in does changing the terms, the conditions we limit our cuteness to? But what is a limit when we have sped past it and left it in the dust with our original plan? Is asking for more even an option when we have been on the same page for so long? Is this where the paths diverge? Is this where I lose you on the page, looking for clarification, even as you joke around it, but never seriously land? How do you know if this has become serious when we said it wouldn't be? Is it time? New year, new beginnings. You are still in isolation, and I miss you, but that's not anything new. There is a note left in my locker with your name attached. Maybe my head can worry about us, beginnings, middles, turning points, the bit where we were right, or cave to what our friends consistently say. You're going to end up dating her. Maybe. Maybe not. I begin the year with a smile, the only certainty I know, reflected back with the confusion in my eyes.
Thank you so much, Heather. Great, thanks. You are a friendly bunch. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, is there anything queerer than being like, are we girlfriends yet? When can we be girlfriends? I remembered what I wanted to say after your poem, Fabulous Phoenix Boy. Sorry, I can't stop saying that. Which is that the whole like bilingual thing is like very part of the like we did a whole workshop, like 2 whole workshops actually, the one in Glasgow and the one in Norwich was about that in-betweenness of like being between languages. And also with my other hats on, I also work at the Poetry Translation Centre and we do this thing called polylingual open mics. And I was like, you should come to one of these polylingual open mics. When's the next one? The next one is in Newcastle on the 25th of April. Alicia, are you going to be there? Wow, she is doing a different event that night because she's in such demand. But maybe see you there if anyone wants to get the train down. Cool, so we're going to take a quick break, come back for 8 o'clock if that is a-okay. See you soon, people in the live stream. We'll have, if anyone else wants to sign up to the open mic, please approach me. I'm very friendly. And we'll hear from the wonderful Len Mikovsky as well. You can buy copies of the book, of course, from the Lighthouse Bookshop. I've also bought my pamphlet and so has Len's. If you fancy perusing those things, they're very cheap, as poetry is. You know? And I'm also donating all the profits from mine. Yeah? Yeah, am I? So I was like, it's being sold through the bookshop. No, I am. I'm donating all the profits of mine to the Boyega Onabanjo Foundation because Boyega edited my pamphlet. So if that's a nice incentive, go and donate to that as well. Great. See you in 20. Hello again. Hello, hello. Thank you for sticking around. How was your interval, everyone? Yeah, good. Did you all buy some books? It's so dangerous, isn't it? Like you imagine how dangerous it is for me going around to all of these, like specifically like queer and radical bookshops around the UK, and I'm like, I need to stop buying books because I have a stack, and it's too much. But I'm glad that you're supporting the Lighthouse Bookshop because they are wonderful, wonderful people. Great. Hope you people in the live stream had a good interval too. Let us know in the chat. I can't read it, but I will catch up with it afterwards. And it's good to know, isn't it? Just good to know. It's good to share. Good to get it out there. Good. So we have one more open mic sign up. If anyone wants to jump up, you're very welcome to. We're going to kick off the second half with all the same lovely energy that we had in the first half. And I have nothing more to say other than to introduce the artist formerly known as Prince, Kate. Yes. This is the first time Kate's ever read an open mic, so I'm going to be extra kind.
I'm very nervous and I might not look at anybody because it's nerve-wracking, isn't it? Oh, I've done it now. You say you should picture people naked, but I mean, that's probably just Stephen might end a little bit differently. So the notion of in-betweenness also sort of reaches out to maybe situationships where you're not sure if anything's ever going to happen, or you're not sure if you want something to happen, and that can sort of weigh on your mind a little bit. Or maybe it's a situation that you know something definitely cannot happen and you really want it to, but it's never going to happen, and you still have all of those terrible thoughts going around in your head. So this doesn't actually have a title, so you know, you've got a title, shout it out at the end. I hate the driving back on the other side of the glass. Flashes of buildings are out of context, and inside the sound of steady breathing that's punctuated by sighs. My thigh becomes a map for you to lightly trace the outlines of terrain that's unknown. The boundaries shift with each pitch and yaw, getting more adventurous with each passing mile. And back at home, sleeping just feels unorthodox. Unfamiliar circumstances that are strewn like the crumpled sheets that we spent the afternoon under, a reminder of repetition and difference, or indifference and nonchalance and unease. I guess it would be far too easy to become part of the furniture, a familiar feature, presence unquestioned. But for now, I will just bite my tongue and try and enjoy the journey.
Thank you so much, Kate. I'm glad that you did not bite your tongue. You did really open mic. No, it was like, I might be sick, and I was like, don't be sick on me, please. But I'll take it, you know, for the poetry. I'll do it. Do we have anyone who wants to last minute share a poem? No, that's totally fine. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and introduce our final act for this evening, the wonderful Len Lukowski. Len is a writer and a performer based in Glasgow. His work has appeared in Magma, Extra Teeth, and Safiri. His debut pamphlet, The Bear Thing, was published by Broken Sleep Books, and is available tonight. If you want to grab a copy after the show. Len's poem, again, really immediately spoke to me. First with the amazing and intriguing title of his poem in the anthology, I Love the Valley. Oh, and love is spelled L-U-V, and there's an exclamation mark at the end. I love an exclamation mark in a title. Just makes everything more fun, doesn't it? It's also a prose poem, which again is really playing with the whole in-betweenness of form. Poetry is so hard to define, right? Like sexuality. So I love that. And then if that wasn't enough, there's like this really uncanny moment in it that I'm obsessed with. Where there's like a ghost Len. Ooh. Maybe you'll see him on one of those like ghost tours that are constantly parading through Edinburgh. Yeah, keep an eye out for Ghost Len on the streets and in the sheets of this anthology. Please give it up for Len Lakowski.
Can you all hear me all right? So the title, yeah, it's a good title because I didn't actually think of that title. It's named after a song by the band Juju, and who the front person of Juju is bi, actually, I think, and it was sort of an ekphrastic poem. So I sort of was listening to the song and trying to make a poem that was connected to it. But then I started remembering all these things. Yeah, and there you go. Okay, I love the valley. Oh, a pill, not sugar, but snow, full of Arctic circles, slowly makes its way down the esophageal tract, freezing each crimson-brown channel as it passes. It's January 2011, and the boiler has been out for months. We huddle in the darkness on the sofa, drinking red wine, watching True Blood, opening the slumlord's mail, our attempt at revenge. At night, I sleep in my hoodie, hugging the pillow or whoever's rapidly cooling body is available, wishing they were someone else. I'm trying to stay off medication. Sometimes I scream into the pillow, never producing the right howl, the kind that reverberates through the body, shakes snow from trees, echoes through a silent valley. If I could scream like that, things would be different, I'm sure. One night, as we sit in front of the TV, watching our breath, a shivering housemate enters, clutching a half-drunk bottle of Kraken rum, and looks at me like I'm a ghost. She tells me she just saw me go upstairs. I haven't moved all evening. No explanation is ever found. Sometimes we talk about other Len, bad Len, a malevolent spirit from a parallel universe. Or maybe my soul left my body in search of somewhere warm, like when an ice pill melts and memories pour in the light. The problem with the prose poem is sometimes you lose what line you're on, but hopefully I covered that. Yeah, this is a poem. Yeah, well, I don't actually think I really need to explain this poem. I think it's quite self-explanatory. This is from the last poem in my pamphlet. It's called Your Haunt. Sometime in your 30s, you'll realize you've become a ghost that haunts the city, and all the friends you came here with have long since moved on. It's been so long since you were touched, even by the fur of a dog. You're not sure you have a body anymore. Snow in the cemetery silences your footsteps, couples passing, parents with their kids sledging, a movie with the sound on mute. Only know you can be seen when the sky starts to darken and a stranger turns to you, says, "That way's locked, you can't go there." And without thinking, you obey, turn and stumble back to where you came from. This poem is called Fox Call, and I'll just read the note about it before I'll read the poem and I'll find where it is. So yeah, because I can't think of the explanation off the top of my head, but anyway. In 2013, there was extensive press coverage of a fox attacking a human baby in a London garden. Sections of the UK media responded to the attack by calling for mass fox calls, both in London and nationally, as did the Mayor of London at that time, Boris Johnson, who suggested fox hunting be introduced in the city. Fox call. In the bins of London are foxes, hundreds of them, healthy and well-fed on junk food, stalking through gardens, mauling babies, congregating together and attacking old women, ripping the throats out of vicars and priests, bombing the Houses of Parliament and setting fire to the House of Lords, eating charity workers, breaking into Buckingham Palace, setting up a guillotine and beheading the royal family, climbing up Big Ben and detonating themselves one by one, sleek furry limbs flying everywhere until all of London is on fire. This poem's about a dildo. Ceiling. The briefs with the harness lie on the floor, as new, dry, unused. The dick rests at the bottom of the bag, attracting tiny flecks of dirt to its surface 7 inches, permanently erect, permanently useless. And all I can think of is lying next to you sleeping, junk swollen up like some monster out foreheads, nose stinging, coming down and staring up at the ceiling. I'm going to read a couple more. This is called Outtakes. A man is lying on his back in a bed, shot from above. We see only his head and neck, and the legs and hard-on of the man straddling his face and holding the camera. Lick my balls, the cameraman is saying. Good boy. The reclining man removes his mouth from around the balls, bursts out laughing, and the top starts laughing too. I'm not your good boy, says the bottom. You're my good boy. The caption above says something about the downsides of filming with your best friend. I always thought that sex that was hot could only be dark, and dark can be good, but the humor I never quite found, that feeling you'd always kind of be an object for it to be hot. The bottom was trans, which shouldn't matter, but of course it matters. I needed to watch myself licking the balls of another man, laughing. This is the last time I'm going to read, and I've kind of forgotten to do any content notes, so sorry about that. But this one starts with a really horrible transphobic quote, so I apologize in advance. But the reason that I'm including all this quote is first of all because I find it quite muddled and self-contradictory, and also because the poem is a response to the quote. So yeah, so this poem is called Bodily Fluids. I will say this categorically, you cannot change your sex. Your sex actually is there in every single cell of your body. You have a chromosomal sex, you have a genetic sex, hormonal sex, psychological, brain sex. They are all different. Professor Robert Winston, BBC Question Time, 2021. Robert, this morning I was thinking about what you said as I was applying the outsourced part of myself, the testosterone suspended in glistening alcoholic gel, to my shoulders and arms, and an errant splodge broke free from my fingertips and fell upon a scrapbook on the floor into which I'd just been pasting a poem. No place in nature we could meet, that one. And Robert, it looked like a globule of sweat, of cum, just another bodily fluid in my blood for some time. There's a nature that comes from within us and one from outside, and sometimes they're both things at once, and sometimes they swap places, and sometimes it's impossible to tell the difference. All our bodies a museum to the things we've been through. I'm not going to argue with you, Robert, because you're a scientist, and I'm just here, but I used to be a librarian, and I know about categorical systems of classification, how sometimes they need updating. This morning, though, I watched with curiosity as the blob dried in seconds on the book's brown cardboard cover, stripping away a layer, forever changing its composition, a little universe in the shape of a splatter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Len. Ah, hereby concluded the Bylines launch. That was brilliant. It's amazing to hear you both read your poems from the anthology, which I've read so many times. But also like hear fuller sets from you both, because I just feel like at each of these launches, when I hear a different contributor reading their full sets, I'm like, first of all, I have such good taste. And like, I'm just so excited to see like all of your careers going forward. One of the contributors, Imogen Wade, won the National Poetry Competition the other week, won first prize, $5,000, no mean feat. And it's just like, now I've got this, we've got this book of 45 bypass poets, and I'm just so excited to see what they all go and do next. So that's very exciting. I'm going to read from my notes because I always forget to thank someone. So thank you for coming. Thank you for spending your Wednesday night with us, people in the room, people online. You can find out more about the project on my website, which is helenboel.co.uk/by-lines. On Twitter and Instagram, we're at by_poets. Tweet me if you're still using Twitter, or gram me. Is that what they say? There's two more launches in Glasgow on Friday. It's like 2 sold out. I did a boo-boo and I overestimated how big Careers Books is. So don't come to that unless you've really booked a ticket. But if you happen to be in Manchester on the 22nd of May, we just announced that's the final launch, is at Queer Lit there. And that's going to be an exciting one because their new space is absolutely massive. I think they've got like a basement for like 100 people. So, make a weekend of it. It's on a Thursday, but an extended weekend. Come on down. Obviously, feel free to grab a copy of the book if you haven't already, or Len's, or mine. I should have said this earlier. You can also, through this project, we're doing this thing where you can pay it forward. You can also do this via the 14 Poems website, where you can buy the book online. If you want to pay for a copy, I will then at some point soon send them off to like LGBTQ+ charities or groups or libraries, like places where I think the book should be, but places that may not be able to stock it ordinarily. So that's an option that you might want to do this evening. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, Arts Council England, as always. I'm just bopping around the country on Arts Council money, so great for us, and we're just paying these poets. Thank you again to our poets, Alicia and Len. Thank you to our wonderful open micers. Thank you to the wonderful staff at Lighthouse Bookshop. And yeah, thank you.